Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about trigger stacking. If you ended up here because you scanned the QR code in my Reactive Dog Owner's Guide, welcome. If not, you're also welcome. So with trigger stacking, what that basically means is that you start with an empty jug every day, hopefully. Now, realistically, no, it rarely is the case that everyone starts with an empty jug. And I'm going to explain it with a human example first, because we also trigger stack, and then I will explain it to you from a dog's perspective. Okay, so let's say you start with an empty jug. That means if shitty things happen to you throughout the day, you'll be able to manage it. Right? The bucket isn't running over, the jug isn't running over. It's shit, but you are able to deal with it. Now, on a bad day, you might have had a terrible sleep that day. So instead of starting empty, you are starting half full already, right? Now this is your jug. This is where we start off. And then you might get stuck in traffic at work, making you late for an important meeting, which adds even more to your stack. And as the day progresses, more little things are happening that are just adding to your shitty day, right? And then as you get home, you now have a jug that's this full. Right? And maybe your sister or your husband or your child asks you something that usually wouldn't be a problem for you. But because the whole day shit's been stacking up, you lose it. Because what happens is this: the bucket runs over, right? And usually if your husband hasn't done dishes or forgot to pick something up, it wouldn't be so much of a problem. But today, because one thing after the other, that is what makes you lose it. What it seems like is that seems like an overreaction. You lose your shit, you get a silly argument that usually wouldn't piss you off, but today it does. And then you go like, oh, why are you overreacting? Blah, 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 blah. Because we're only reacting to the thing that made the bucket run over. We're not thinking about all the other things that happened during that day to make you react in the way you did. So when you have a dog that you take for a walk and you know, you've had good days or you had bad days, or maybe you're walking and they just completely lose their shit at something. And you go, oh my God, why? I don't understand. That's most likely because their bucket is already running over. And so for a lot of dogs, pulling on leash is a huge frustration builder. So say, for example, your dog is pulling like a freight train, constantly getting this feeling around his neck or the harness or whatever it is that you walk them on, right? So just the pulling alone for some of these dogs might bring them up to half a jug. They're like, oh, gotta do this walk again while she's yanking my chain the whole time, right? So this is why I think it's so important that you have to cover loose leash walking as quickly as possible when you do reactivity work. Because if your dog isn't pulling on lead anymore and experiencing this frustration, guess what happens? We put this back. We don't need this anymore. We start empty. Yeah, you don't start with this much in already because we got rid of it. That's one less thing to worry about. But this dog does pull on lead. So that's the first frustration. Now, this dog might also be frustrated or already overstimulated because you had to take him to the vet for his vaccinations today. And that's stressful. So let me add something. And then maybe because you went to the vet, you didn't walk him his usual walk today. So we're gonna add a little bit more. And maybe the kids came home from school and have been like hyping up your dog just before the walk that you're finally going to take. So now we're getting out of the door and you haven't even started your walk yet. And we're already here because leash bullying, vet visit, hyper kids, and not the usual routine for your dog. So now, when your dog sees another dog, well, what do you think is going to happen? Of course, it's going to instantly run over because the jug is already full. Nothing else fits in. So if you're walking past a fence where a dog is absolutely losing its shit at your dog, of course your dog is going to freak out because all of this has already happened. So what we're going to have to work on really well is how do we empty the jug for the dog. And one I already said, and that is let's get rid of loose leash walking being an issue. Because now at least your dog has a little bit of a buffer, okay? This is where the jug is now. So now if you walk past that fence and the dog gets pissed off, we have still got a little bit of space. Not a lot, but there is a little bit, right? Or if your dog doesn't get enough exercise, we are going to have to work on that first. And your dog getting exercise every day means that maybe you start your day here with your dog. So that's walking every day. That is stop your dog pulling on lead. Yeah, see how much space you now get to work on triggers without your dog instantly blowing up. Now, obviously, there is a lot of different dogs in the world, and every dog could have different triggers. And again, some days might be different than other days, right? Just like for you. You have good days where you can literally carry the weight of the world on your shoulders and it doesn't faze you. And then there is other days where you are irritable and frustrated and everything goes wrong and you can't put a finger on why. Like that's just how life works, right? And that's the same for our dogs. Our dogs have the same thing. So we need to work on their tolerance and understand where are they today? Is there anything I could do now to relieve some pressure of that jug or the bucket? And then obviously some dogs' jug isn't that big. Some are maybe only here. And if you have a dog like that, that's easily triggered, then you don't have a lot of space, right? So for you, the goal is to bring it down and see if you can increase their tolerance in how they perceive triggers, which is what we do a lot with desensitization and counter conditioning, right? We are going to change their perception of what triggers are so the jug becomes bigger. And other dogs already have a massive bucket. If you have that dog, you're probably not watching this video anyway. Okay, so the next time when a dog trainer talks to you about trigger stacking, this is what they mean. Yeah, like picture a jug, have a think, where is my dog at this stage and how can I decrease it? How can I identify what irritated them and then see if you can reduce it and work on your issues with your dog, whichever that may be then. All right, I hope this video was useful to you. Leave some questions in the comments if you have any and I'll see you next time. Bye.